Sanchez is also on. Okay, so we're live on YouTube now, so we will be broadcasting in a moment, and I'll introduce the first few slides and then pass it over to the two of you.
Great.
Welcome.
Does that mean you already have our presentation?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and Lori, let me know when we go live.
We're live.
Are we broadcasting now?
Yes, sir, we're on.
Well, how about that? Now you see what happens behind the curtain. Welcome, everyone, to Be Strong Families webinar series, Staying Strong and Positive for Ourselves and Our Children. We're so grateful to have you back today, our last day of March, the end of the third quarter for some agencies. It could be the end of the first quarter for other agencies. It could be the end of the third quarter for federal agencies. Who knows? But we're so grateful to have you. And I see people are joining on the chat and sharing where they're from. So, hey, I invite everyone to kind of pop on and tell us where we're coming from. And if we can move to the next slide, we'll just talk a little bit about how we engage in this webinar series. Welcome, Marvin. So today's topic is prevention and community support. I'm your host from Be Strong Families, Guy Shingothi, and I'm joined by Samantha Valentine and Lindsay Dale today. And I'll pass the baton in a moment, but let's now we'll get to the ways we engage. I knew it. So generally, there won't be as many opportunities for talking, but if you are interested in talking, please keep your phone on mute. In general, when you're ready to comment, please raise your hand and we'll unmute you. Then you'll need to unmute yourself to be heard. Please be patient with us as we get through to everybody. But the best way to engage is really by typing in the comments section, in the chat section, and just want to make sure that you click the drop down for all panelists and attendees so everyone can see what you're sharing. So let's move on to our agreements for these sessions. So we always speak from our own experience using I statements. Our golden rule, treating other people the way you want to be treated, is in effect. Every voice, every contribution is invited and welcome and appreciated. So we want to make sure we're treating everyone with that respect. And then full presence. So trying to refrain from multitasking. You have scheduled yourself for this hour and give yourself this hour. Give yourself the time to kind of be a part of this webinar and absorb the content and connect with your colleagues and friends from around the country. If you agree with these agreements, please post in the chat, agree, and then we'll pass things along. And let's see who we have here. We have New Jersey, DC, Indiana, New York, more Indiana, Maryland. So grateful to see everybody. Thanks for popping in those agrees. And on that note, let me pass the baton over to Lindsay and Samantha. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, Be Strong families. As always, it is a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, along with Guy Shingo, the COO of Be Strong Families. Is just awesome. Again, for today, I am one of the members of Georgia Parent Advisory Council. I represent Region 7, and Lindsay Dale is also here with us today, and she is going to be talking with myself and I about what does it mean to be a part of a parent advisory council. What is the Parent Advisory Council? Lindsay Dale is the Prevention and Community Support Program Specialist for Division of Family and Children Services. She is also our Georgia Parent Advisory Council liaison, and we're going to get you started. Let's go ahead and get started. Lindsay, say hi to Be Strong Families.
Hi, glad to be here.
Okay, so we're ready to go. Our desired workshop outcomes for today is that you're going to understand what the Georgia Parent Advisory Council is all about and how to become a member. Participants today are going to understand the role of GPAC and providing a parent voice. Participants are going to understand how to use your parent voice and how you can use it to enhance the work that you already do with your families, communities, and educational facilities as well.
Hi again, my name is Lindsay Dale, and like Samantha said, I am a program specialist at Georgia Division of Family and Children Services for our prevention and community support section. So our section is fairly new. I say fairly new, but it's probably been 4 or 5 years now to the division as a prevention section under DFACS. And our primary goal is to work in partnership based organizations that are committed to reducing the incidence of child abuse and neglect and improving the overall health and well-being of Georgia's children and families. So we have contracts with local based and statewide organizations. We receive federal funding, state funding, and that's it. And we focus on primary and secondary prevention, which I would think a lot of you probably know that distinction, but primary prevention is activities that are targeted toward the community. The family doesn't have to be at risk, it's for everyone. And then secondary prevention are those activities targeted to families that have more risk factors. You can go to the next slide, actually. And this is you, Samantha.
Now, this is a wonderful picture of our Georgia Parent Advisory Council members. We continue to recruit new members all the time. Our goal is to have at least one member per region. Birth parents, dads, kin caregivers, grandparents, foster parents, adoptive parents with and without experience with DFACS. Parents and experience should have experience in accessing community-based prevention services and resources. And we actually teach you how to look for those resources. How have they assisted you, as well as how can you be of assistance to other families? We're still recruiting for our region 6, 8, and 9. And let's go on. Now, parent voice. Parent partnership and parent leadership. You are your children's first teachers, and you are a leader. You're a leader in your home, and you're a leader in your workplace. And those of you that fellowship in different areas, you are a leader there. So it is very important that we hear from you and develop that parent partnership. The role in this beginning stage is to maintain a safe container for the growth and so that we can learn together. At a program level, parent leadership activities shift to partnering with parents when parents are acknowledged as the experts. And I know as a parent, we all want to have that feeling that, hey, I have firsthand knowledge of what's needed for my family. And both staff and parents are learning from this relationship. As a result, case managers begin asking, how can we work together to help support your family, instead of asking, what can I do to help your family? Now, parents are central to family support models and should be encouraged to develop their potential. Parent support, education, and leadership work together to help them develop the skills to do just that. By fostering parents in the role of expert and leader, families benefit from improved self-worth and as better advocates for their needs, while programs benefit from being more responsive and accountable to the families they serve. Parent leadership is fostered on a meaningful level when parents are given the opportunity for personal growth to gain the knowledge and skills to function in leadership roles and represent a parent voice to help shape the direction of their families, programs, and communities. We also foster that great level of advocacy and put you at the front.
Hi, so I'm going to talk about the role of the Georgia Parent Advisory Council. Their role is to advise the Division of Family and Children Services in Georgia, and specifically our section, Prevention and Community Support, about making changes to child welfare services, systems, particularly prevention programming. So what we call Georgia PAC, sounding board for decisions, ideas, and questions that shape the future of the prevention and community support section, and also the division as a whole. So parental involvement in decision-making is the key to having policies and programs that support family strengths and needs with the goal to improve outcomes for children and families. So we initially planned to only recruit birth parents and those that had used prevention services in their communities. But after talking to Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services leadership, they wanted us to expand on that idea to include any type of family. Families with defects involvement, adoptive parents, foster parents, and kin caregivers. So we concluded that it was important to have those different perspectives to improve prevention and prevention services in Georgia. Okay.
Now,
go to the next slide. There's still one more. All right, so parent advisory council members serve as strategic partners and includes a select group of parents from across the state. They have a range of expertise and personal experiences. Some have experience in the child welfare system or, like I said before, prevention program. So the parent advisory council fosters parent leadership development and models the value of parent engagement. And finally, the Georgia PAC is designed to ensure that there are strong parent voices in shaping programs, services, and strategies that can result in better outcomes for children and families. And this is our vision, mission, and our goals that we developed as a group. Our mission is resilient communities where families are strengthened, authentic parent voices. And then our mission, parents and caregivers working with Georgia DFACS, Georgia Division of Family and Children Services, and our partners to build relationships with families, to develop parent leadership, and advocate for parent-informed policy and practice. And so I won't read all through these goals, but you can just take a look. Participate in various campaigns and initiatives to raise awareness. Goal number 2, participate in training projects that help strengthen families. And goal number 3, work with our section, prevention, community support, to provide input into written materials and other resources. So yeah, at our second in-person meeting, we all met together in Savannah, Georgia, and helped and develop these. And we also have a partner, the Children's Trust Fund Alliance, and they provide, from the beginning, they have helped us with the development of the council and provided TA. And so we have their assistance too in developing this vision, mission, and our initial goals. Okay. And now I'm going to talk about the development of the Georgia PAC. Oops, one second. So initially we had a planning committee. It was formed in early 2019, and it included Georgia DFACS staff, including DFACS case managers, staff from our section, prevention and community support, the Children's Trust Alliance staff, and 2 parents. So I was appointed as the dedicated Parent Advisory Council staff liaison in February 2019, and I still continue to serve as the point person for the Parent Advisory Council. So in the beginning, we developed a flyer that we used for recruitment, and we solicited applicants at meetings and through sharing with our partners. Parents on the planning committee also helped to spread the word. So we had a paper version of the membership application, and then we also created an online version so that parents could fill it out online. We conducted phone interviews with the planning committee, and then we selected our initial members. So we started out with 9 members from different regions across Georgia, and with the goal that we will eventually have up to 16 members. We currently have 11 members, and we just added 2 more, so we're going to be up to 13 by next week. So our initial orientation was held over 2 days in June 2019. And we have something that I think we all really appreciated. Our leadership was there at our orientation. Our Division of Family and Children Services Director, Tom Rawlings, even came. He presented to the parents, listened to their stories. Our Office of Family Independence Director, John Anderson, gave an overview of the Office of Family Independence, or OFI, where we are. So yeah, it was a really good introduction for all of us to the Parent Advisory Council that we were going to be doing. All right, I'm going to turn it back to Samantha.
Just out of curiosity, how long are parents members when you get to that 16? Is there a term or?
You know, that is actually something we're talking about now. We have not set term limits yet, but it's something we're going to be talking about. We're thinking maybe a 2-year term limit, but that's definitely not set in stone yet.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely something we're considering.
Okay.
Next. Now, here's a partial list of some of the activities that PAC members have participated in since June of 2019. They've helped review funding proposals, which you know is very important. If we're going to be parent leaders and advocates, we need to know what are the funds going toward and where are the funding sources. They've presented at conferences as well as summits. If you're going to use your parent voice, you need to be at those conferences. You need to participate at those summits, and it helps with great experience and training to get your parent voice out there. They help develop media campaigns, and they serve on national committees like Birth and Foster Parent Partnership. And I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay.
That's you again, Samantha. I'm sorry.
Definitely. Now, the one thing that you do want to be aware of when you are participating, there are so many different agencies and community partnerships that are going on. There's no way that we can keep up with them all. However, all of us bring to the table our various perspectives and backgrounds. It's very important because it is your parent experience that parent had that is very important when we're out there advocating. Even when we're doing campaigns, it is important that you're transparent and you share your lived experience. It is beneficial because there may be someone out there that is going through the same trial or tribulation or anything that you experience, and you can be that voice for the voiceless, and you can provide your lived experience with those in your particular community. Let's go on to your next slide. Now, as you can see, we have various examples of the value of the parent voice. It is very important that you are able to provide feedback. If you're at the forefront of that planning, you can go over program topics, hours of program availability, childcare, transportation, and other needs. Yes, there are many programs out there that are great for our parents. However, firsthand experience will let them know, hey, that program starts a little bit too early, or I would love to participate in that program. However, it is important that I have transportation or accessibility or childcare. We definitely want to make sure you're able to utilize your parent expertise. Parents as a resource for training. How awesome is it to know that the person delivering the information to you has firsthand knowledge and experience with the crisis that you may possibly be dealing with? And we also make sure that we utilize parent expertise in peer-to-peer programs. Next, one of our great examples of the parent voice is advocacy, again, and promoting of programs, parents telling their stories. Just like on Be Strong Families, we have families everywhere that have great stories and experiences that are needed to be heard. So this is why we value the parent voice and why this has been such a great experience to get that information out there and help build a stronger community.
And this is my information here. If you have any questions about starting a parent advisory council or questions about recruitment, anything like that, I am open to any emails. You can just reach out. And if anyone has any questions, now you're also welcome to ask.
Yeah, that's great. The chat is open for questions. So I guess I have a question. Just wondering how you felt the recruitment process is going. Have you felt? You said you have you have 13 members now, or you're just added 2 more. Did you find that there was a lot of interest? Is there are you finding the balance you're interested in?
Yeah, actually. So it's taken us almost 2 years to get almost a full council. For the COVID did not help us with recruitment. But yeah, we've had a lot of interest. We do phone interviews. They're pretty informal. We have a list of questions that we send out to applicants before their phone interview. And I think we have a really good group. They're really diverse. Like I was saying, at some point earlier, I was saying we have adoptive parents, foster parents, parents that have been through the system, through the Division of Family and Children's Services, and parents that may not have been through the system, but have accessed preventive services.
Sure. We have a couple questions coming in on the chat. Thank you, Lindsay and Samantha. One question is, what were some initial barriers to creation of the PAC, and how did you folks collectively resolve those barriers?
That's a good question. We think.
Well, one thing I would say is, with COVID, a lot of the face-to-face interaction for recruitment, once again, was limited. So yes, paper-based applications are great. However, if you're trying to target a large audience and you want each of your regions represented, we need to make sure we got that information out there on social media, digital publications, so that we could spread the word. We were able to overcome that by word of mouth, promotion on social media. But one of the great things is you're not just being interviewed by an organization. You're actually being interviewed and able to talk with each of the members. We all participate in the interview process, and we're able to, it is a very comfortable atmosphere. You're able to share your information, and we share ours transparently, telling you like, hey, these are some of the things that we experienced, what we went through. And we always make sure that during this time, the parents understand we may wear several hats. We can be educators, we can be in leadership roles, some are in ministry, some are small business owners. However, the hat that we have to make sure we maintain is that parent hat, because those are the voices that we want represented. So one of the things that we have definitely overcome is making sure that when we're at those meetings, we are participating, but making sure that every organization has a parent voice.
Yeah, thank you, Samantha. And I was also going to talk about some of those barriers. I think at the beginning, it was definitely a lack of knowledge, where to go, how to start. And we were lucky enough to have some funding to have a contract with the Children's Trust Fund Alliance for that TA. And we also, not just with them through that contract, we also reached out to other states that had established parent advisory councils. I think Arkansas was one that was a really big help for us. Yeah.
Is strengthening families, there's some other questions that I'll pop into. The strengthening family, I know that Georgia used to be a pretty active in the strengthening families approach too. Is that a piece of the council? And
It is. Yeah, we actually, everyone has been through strengthening families training about the protective factors. Cool. And we try to weave it into all of our work, really, section. Yeah, we're just still big on strengthening families.
That's great.
They've actually joined in with Prevent Child Abuse Georgia now, who's one of our biggest partners.
Interesting. And yeah, I totally resonated with what you're saying too, and then and Samantha as well. Your point about wearing that family hat, that parent hat. We talk about that all the time when it comes to, like the cafe process, for instance. Just making sure you're bringing that perspective. And like the other thing that I've also found interesting, it's not interesting, but it's true. I'm here presenting on a webinar, but guess what? I'm a parent too, and so like we're all like need to really tap into that when we're thinking about what's really affecting people on the ground too. Let me get to some of these other questions here. I see.
Can I mention one more thing that has
Sure.
been helpful to overcome barriers was the immediate support of our leadership in our division.
Yeah.
They were all in. And so that definitely opened some doors for us.
Oh yeah, that's critical. I remember, well, in Illinois too. I mean, having the backing of leadership was so important to being able to push everything. Get people to buy in.
Well, I would like to add in regards to barriers. Sometimes, depending on your experience or your background, people will see DFACS or Division of Family and Child Services and automatically cringe, okay? Because they may not have had a good experience. But there is an individualized section under prevention and community support. And it's important that we stay on that and say, hey, there are additional programs that require you don't even have to have been involved with the welfare system or DFACS or anything. So it's important that when we work on things that we overcome that barrier of, hey, we're here to support the community. There's a lot of stereotypical things that come to mind when you hear DFACS. So we're taking that stigma away. If your family needs counseling, therapy, if you have had access to other programs that were beneficial, hey, that's what we're here for, prevention, because we want parents and the family to thrive. So just overcoming that barrier and that stigma of hearing Division of Family and Child Services.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that the department is invested in prevention. It definitely, sometimes, well, not definitely, but I've noticed, in some states, like, that can ebb and flow. So it's really good that there's investment in prevention. Have a question here, and maybe you addressed this, but has the parent recruitment changed during COVID? And what's been successful? You've gotten 4 people in the last year, it sounds like. What do you think has made that most successful, the COVID recruitment?
We continue to present. We've done a lot of talks and presentations kind of like this not throughout Georgia, they're all virtual, but to different groups in Georgia. I think that's been pretty key, actually. And like Samantha was saying earlier, we have definitely recruited a lot through our Division of Family and Children Services regions. Those region directors have really helped us with recruitment.
Yeah, that's interesting because, with all the challenges that COVID's provided, some of the connection ability and you could even say like technology balancing, and I guess what I mean by that is just having to get up to speed on technology because you have to has created like a little more some interesting easier avenues to connect. Let's see, we have a question about, I see there's some connection between CASA and PAC. What other community partners do you pull from is the question on there. And I see,
Now, I answered that CASA and PAC are separate entities. I serve as a CASA. And so the work that I do in representing children is totally separate. However, it is the background with working with parents as an advocate that allows me to come to the table with a different perspective as well. Again, we desire to help parents with all backgrounds, birth parents, foster parents, kin caregivers, because there's not a lot of focus on kin caregiving. And we definitely want to make sure that we are a diverse group where we have eyes in each of the arenas. Being a foster parent, is a totally different challenge that can occur when you're taking care of a relative or kinship caregiving. So we need that expertise from different areas as well as educators. So again, not everyone has been involved with DFACs. So it's important if we want that parent voice to be out there, it be in an authentic voice.
Thank you. Are there other, you mentioned Prevent Child Abuse Georgia. Are there other partner agencies or community-based partners that have been helpful in this effort?
So we would pull some of our home visiting programs. I will say that throughout Georgia, we've gotten a few from those. But like I was saying earlier, our biggest partners have been our own regional offices, really. They've been enthusiastic about it. And I wanted to mention also about parent expertise and it's important because they are being used. Like, our parents are in high demand. I don't know if you got examples of, or if you guys saw the examples of Georgia PAC involvement, but they are on committees, they are doing presentations. Our Division of Family staff want them there.
I can see having other community partners' name being tied to the program. This is a comment from Denise. I could see having other community partners' names being tied to this program, which would help increase equality to power level to parents. That was the comment. Samantha, you've asked some questions. Are you asking that of the participants?
Yes, for the participants, do any of you incorporate the parent voice in your particular work? And if so, how do you incorporate the parent voice in your work? And it's just something that you can think about. If your area doesn't have a parent advisory council, how would this actually benefit you and your area, and your family, and your community?
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that. So we'll keep the chat open for that question. And Lori, who's on our staff here and on this webinar, started talking or replied to, but not to the whole group, about Be Strong Families regional parent engagement advisors. Lori, would you be willing to share a little bit about what we're doing with our regional groups, RPEAs, as we call them?
Sure. We have a regional group that's in Chicago and in Philly, in Washington, D.C. They were groups of parents that were representative within their different cities. It has grown so much through the past year on a national level through our webinars and our online presence that we're now moving on to a national parent representation. And so we've been recruiting, doing an orientation with them. We're now ready to get them on board. And what we're hoping is that we have people from Texas, we have people from California, we have people who speak different languages so that they can connect and kind of help spread our message and Be Strong's mission and our values. They all share that and they want that in their communities. And it's exciting to see that they can be a very active part of the group. Our parents not only help with parent cafes, they do the presentations, they have organized them, they act as cafe room hosts. They also are helping us to develop some new materials for special needs, grief, and the other one, a dad's cafe we're also developing as well, so that they're working on that. And so they're very active in the product portion of Be Strong Families. So they're very active in every part of the organization. Great to see. I worked as a parent liaison at a school district, and parents were asked to be members of the policy development. But to see them, our parents, so actively involved in every aspect of Be Strong Families is just It's great. They not only train, but they also are part of the board. They're part of product. Very, very active, and we work as a team. It's great to see that. They're amazing people.
Thank you. Those are some great examples. And you mentioned like the different places, like it all kind of started from places where we had been doing some work, and it's another interesting like point about this COVID, kind of bringing people together from all over. So, not really needing to take a regional approach, or maybe that being, not being as necessary, because we could all come together. And I just you mentioned something that I just wanted to elaborate on too. Yeah, with regards to our board of directors, Be Strong Families board of directors, we amended our bylaws when we were taking this regional approach, that there would be a representative from each of those regional groups appointed to our board of directors. So since that happened, we've added 3 or 4 parent leader representatives of those RPEAs to our board. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Denise Marshall followed up on her comment and stated, I asked parents what they feel they need to support reunification and what they want to do during their parent-child visits. So this would be those parents, birth parents with maybe cases or intact cases. Washington County, Maryland is working on beginning a parent peer support. Is that a peer support program, or you're hiring a peer support person? And if you'd like to share more about that too, go ahead and raise your hand and we can unmute you. And then Allie has also posted, I'm new to my organization. She's a program manager at a local family support center, and wants to center parent and family voices. So I'm not, I think, want to gather, want to promote parent and family voices maybe, but recruitment's been an issue though, especially with COVID. So that's where the brainstorming is currently reaching out. So let's put that out there to the group too. Hiring a peer support person. Thank you, Denise, for clarifying. So let's brainstorm that a little bit while we still have time. Maybe what other people are doing to connect with parents and recruit parents, either for cafes or other parent groups during the COVID stay at home. And then Lori has shared a question too that maybe we can respond to as well, around how do you, as an organization, or how is your organization helping parents feel welcome so that they feel their voice will be heard? And I'll put that out to the group, to Samantha and Lindsay too. Like, what are your techniques for making the members of the PAC feel welcome and kind of comfortable in their role? And thank you, Lori. If anyone would like to speak out, just raise your hand and we can unmute you.
I would say, first coming on board, it was word of mouth. One of our Region 13 members, Robin, and I were serving as AmeriCorps Vistas, and we were all the way in Philadelphia. And I was talking about different things with National PTA, and she goes, you know what, and so my background is math, and she goes, you would be a great fit for the Georgia PAC. And we just started talking because it's just really important that, and this is why I feel comfortable. It's the difference when people ask you to become members of different groups. And I am a female, so sometimes they only ask you to become part of groups because, hey, we don't have that many women represented. I'm African American, so sometimes it could be a quota. Like I just have to have a certain amount of different ethnic groups. I found that being part of the Georgia PAC was truly authentic. It wasn't about filling an agenda. I was not just a seat holder. And sometimes we get in positions where we have a title and we just become a seat holder. They don't necessarily want us to do anything, really have any say so. However, this was different. And this is why I decided this is what I want to do. It was very evident that, hey, we are going in this direction. and we want A, B, C, and D. The clarity was there, the support to get there, even the training on how to share. Because here's the thing, you may have the lived experience, but you may not have a great speaking voice, or you may not be good with public speaking. Well, the training for that is there. Um, any area that is needed to be representative, they actually came in and said, hey, this is where you're at. Even doing the Gallup, the strength based, to figure out what your area of strength is so that we can mesh together collectively. So how do I feel welcome? I feel welcome that they're actually making change. It's not something that's just talked about or written down. However, there is action attached to it. So um, that is what I needed. I needed to know that it was an authentic group where I wasn't just a seat holder. So
Thank you.
This is Lindsay. I was just going to say, we're pretty upfront about if you need help, just let us know. If you need help with internet access, let us know so that you can participate virtually. If you need help with transportation for our in-person meetings, we can help with that. So we try to be really supportive and just open to everyone's needs that's on the Parent Advisory Council. And I don't think that this is a requirement, but I am glad that we are able to, but we offer like an honorarium to our parents for their participation, for their expertise.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a requirement, but I think that should be, like, when we talk about parents support, and that's been Be Strong Families stand for a while, like, and contributions, is that usually they're joining a group of people that are all there as part of their job and getting paid. So I think that's a really important aspect. It's so glad to hear that that's a part of it. And Denise shared a powerful testimony, Samantha, and it's such a good point. And I believe it's the way you know, a lot of parent advisory groups over the years have evolved, you know, from, you know, being an agency or like a group that's kind of checking boxes because they're supposed to have parent involvement. So it's really great to hear how the rubber meets the road with the GPAC. And I love I have to like the acronyms, and I've never heard defects before. Just for the record.
Oh, that's interesting. That's why I kept trying to say it out loud, because I never know which.
In fact, like, I was watching the presentation, I'm like, oh, defects, DFCS. Well, here in Illinois, we're DCFS, but so like that, I don't know, DKIFs might not, I don't know, doesn't have the same flair. But Texas has a defects. I don't know if anyone has done that. I've seen defects in other places. But anyway, I have a question too, in terms of when parents come on board. Do you state clear expectations for the parents? Like, they know what they're getting into?
I believe we do that. Samantha might have. We actually have a membership description that we have that we send out along with our flyer and our application. So yeah, we are pretty upfront. But Samantha, you might have other comments.
Yes, there are clear expectations. Well, first, you know, if you get an application, it is very important that you read it. So now, if you don't know what you're getting into, some people are just like pros at filling out applications and saying, "Hey, I just want to be on this board," but you can't do that when you're interviewing for the GPAC, because it is very evident in the description what is needed. And so when you get in the interview, if the questions that are asked, if you weren't prepared, it would be very evident. So yes, there are clear expectations as far as what you bring to the table. So yes, there is a clear expectation. Again, we're new. I am like one of the, I wouldn't say I'm not so new anymore. I would say, I was about to say, yeah, I'm one of the babies, but no, it's been, yeah. So, yes, there's a clear expectation. However, you're learning as you grow. One of the best expectations is that your lived experience is not one that is a story of yours, like, I've been at rock bottom, I'm still there. It is a testimony and a lived experience that you are sharing as a growth story. I am here. I was there. I'm no longer there. I may not have everything together, but I'm sure in a better place than I was at that time. And actually stating, hey, this is what I needed and this is what I did not receive. So the clear expectation is that you share your lived experience. And as you're doing that, you provide any of the information, like what did you participate in? Who have you reached out to? What organizations or parents are you speaking with? So yes, the expectation is there.
Very
I mean,
cool.
we also talk about upfront some of the more mundane aspects, how many times we're going to meet a year,
Yeah.
meet in person. And we try to meet 4 times virtually in a normal year
Yeah.
and then twice in person. Obviously last year and this year it's been all virtual.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so have you met 6 times then, virtually, or more remotely?
I think more. I'd have to
Yeah.
go back and look, but more definitely.
I mean, that's what I was kind of thinking about too. I'm thinking about some of our, like, this isn't related to the topic, but internal professional development here, like, it's happening more frequently because we can have shorter doses of, like, online meetings. Do you think you'll continue with that type of meeting frequency once the world opens up a little bit more, 4 and 2, or you think you may do more remote meetings as a result of the
I think
success?
we'll probably go back to 4 and 2. We really like being together in person as a group. Like, I don't think Samantha has even been able to meet her other members. And so so those first 2 in-person meetings that we were able to have was a really good experience. Everyone, it was just, we were so happy that everyone got along and very supportive of each other. So yeah, it's kind of like a little family now. So we like seeing each other.
Yeah.
We were able to meet in person, any of us that went to the Child Welfare Summit.
Oh, that's
So
great.
I was able to meet with a few. I would also add that for the expectations, one of the things that we desire to know is, like, do you have a current DFACS in case? Or if you've ever had one, or if you have a closed case, if so, how long ago? Because we do definitely take that into consideration as well.
Cool. I have do you offer any kind of training for the PAC members? Like, you talked about, like, presentation, maybe support, or are there any others, like conflict resolution, for instance, or things like that? Peace circles, I know, is something I've seen used also.
So the most recent training we have not had any, like you're saying, conflict resolution, but I do like that idea. We recently, like Samantha was referring to, is strategic sharing.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that type of training too. Like, how comfortable are you sharing your story and being mindful of kind of what you're putting out there? Is that the concept?
Right? Yeah. Basically, we met. It's probably been about a month. We actually met on a Saturday for about 4 hours, and we had our partners from Children's Trust Fund put that on for us, and we would go in breakout groups and do small sharing, and then come back to the larger group, and someone could, wanted to share their full story. But it was helping them to develop what they want to say, and the best way to get their points across.
Right, without damaging yourself or traumatizing yourself. We've, I mean, I've seen that done more with youth in care, and actually that kind of pops up another question: does the GPAC, are there other boards that they collaborate with, or councils? Like, is there a youth council or a foster parent council? Other audiences within the system?
Now, I'm a member of Well, there's several other organizations, but I'm a member of the Birth Parent National Network, and there are other networks for foster parents. And once you join, you have access to other programs that are going on. And if you're like a researcher, depending on, like, I'm very involved with, I love advocacy as well as participating in meetings pertaining to funding as well as laws or bills being changed and policy. So if that's your area, when we sit down and we look at the goals and the areas in which we want to meet those goals, then of course that definitely would be your area. Even when we sit down to plan a training, like trauma or resilience or anything like that, we all, it's a meshing of us all. A lot of Google collaboration on Google Docs to make sure we all highlight whose area is this, whose area is that. If your area is finance, then you can keep up with that. So definitely, you have access. Of course, with being a court appointed special advocate, I'm really looking at different organizations in that aspect. And again, the goal is there a parent voice in those other sections, and making sure you're at the meeting and stating, hey, I'm with the Georgia PAC. Let's make sure that the parent voice is there, even if it's a meeting with Department of Juvenile Justice. Hey, we need a parent voice there. So it's actually being selective and strategic about what partnerships are you getting involved. And when you look down their list, do they have a parent voice piece there? If not, I want to be at that meeting. So we strategically make sure that get that parent voice in there.
Yeah, kind of getting planting those seeds or growing or planting those plants before they because they don't have anything offered at that point. Really interesting. Well, I'm gonna keep the chat open too for questions, but then maybe transition towards some of our closeout slides, Lori. And so the chat is still open. The opportunity to connect is still open. This has been like a really fun kind of conversation. I hope everyone's been enjoying that. And if you have more questions while we're still live, put them on so we can get to them. Just want to share, these are our last two webinars of the week. So we have Thursday, when is it race and when is it something else? And Friday, the significance of mathematics, overcoming the barriers to equity. So two interesting topics to close out the week. And then starting next week, we're going to be going on a vitality journey for the next 2 months on this webinar. So here's a little teaser on that. We're going to spend 8 weeks clearing out the clutter of a long winter and jumpstarting our holistic vitality. I've got a little head start. I've started doing that since the end of the Super Bowl after I had those nachos. But we're going to hold space each week around a domain of vitality that will identify and visualize health and wellness as a foundational way to strengthen families and communities. So like when we talk about vitality, the 6 domains: financial, physical, mental, spiritual, social. Did I hit all 6? I was counting in my head and then I may have left one off. But the way it's going to work is we're going to have BS staff hosting. We're doing 30-minute check-ins. It's kind of like a little micro training on vitality. There will be some guest presenters and a weekly vitality cafe. So we're going to be hosting an online vitality cafe each week, and community projects to boost wellness, especially as COVID kind of starts to go away and we all start entering the world again, which is a little nerve-wracking, right? So let me see. Environmental, that's the vitality one I missed. Sorry about that. Thank you, Lori. And it's all about doing our best to try to live these vitality domains every day, just like we talk about the protective factors and how are we living these day to day. Vitality is all about that. It's going to be pretty cool. If you haven't explored the vitality domains that we've been using in our cafes and some of our other resources, it's a really interesting dive, and they um, merge really nicely, or they complement really nicely the protective factors when we're talking about how we're strengthening our family from the inside out. Thank you. Lori has posted our ending poll. So for those that are on, please take a moment to complete that. Let us know how the session was and a little bit about you. We appreciate that. And then, yeah, let's go ahead to the next slide, Lori. And if you like what you're hearing, you love this series, you could support us in many ways. And one way is to purchase a BSF mask. We have a couple options. You know, someday a mask will be a thing of the past, and then you could hang up your mask, kind of like, you know, after you've been hiking, you hang up your mask on the door and go, there it is, or we'll frame them and go, we'll remember this year. But you can access those on our website, bestrongfamilies.org/resources. And then let's move on. If there is a topic you're interested in presenting or sharing as a part of this series, we'll be looking for new topics and ideas for the summer of 2021, because we will be doing that vitality through May. But contact us, Kathy, Kattie, at bestrongfamilies.net, and we can hopefully put you on this webinar. So before we sign off, just wanted to pass it over to Samantha and Lindsay. If you have any last comments before we kind of close things down for the day.
Out and with, feel free to reach out. I put the information in the chat area. If you're looking to implement your own parent advisory council, or if you're interested in joining the GPAC, definitely we can sit down and brainstorm with you, as well as present if you want someone to know what a parent advisory council is all about. I'm just really excited and honored to be here. And I think I'm warming up. I'm starting to get the hang of it now.
Woo. Oh, you've got the hang of it. Thank you. Great to see you again. Yes, Samantha, I've had the chance to host with you a couple instances as we were talking about some of the Red Cross opportunities and Red Cross prevention measures. And Lindsay, any last words or?
Oh, I just want to say thank you for letting us come and speak with you today. And like Samantha said, if you have any questions about starting a parent advisory council, please feel free to reach out. I am more than happy to share our development documents with you, our flyer, our membership outline, anything like that. I'm happy to share.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. So that's fantastic. And yes, those emails are shared in the chat. This webinar recording and presentation will be posted usually by the end of today, but if not tomorrow. You can find a whole list of things. And wow, I can't believe an hour just flew by like that. Thank you again. Thank you for those that joined us today and participated. We'll see you tomorrow, and stay safe, healthy, strong, together, connected, everything from Be Strong Families. And Lori, thank you again also for your support and contributions. And let's make it a great rest of the week. All right.